yeah, we are in the place to be.
Alright, so I just spent the last couple hours cleaning up the kitchen, cleaning off the countertops. So let's take a look at what our next project is. We are going to be painting the cabinets all the way around. This is going to be some other color, this side of the peninsula and this door here. And then the peninsula, and then this side where the plug is going to be one color. Is what the current plan is. Sorry, I'll give you the full view. Wow. So this part of the peninsula again will be one color, and then possibly the rest of the doors and everything will be a different color. It will be white, and then all the tops will be white. And mixing all that with the subway tile that I did earlier this year will make this place look great. So you can kind of see over here that there is a color behind the subway tile. Those cords are kind of in the ways, but that was the color of the walls behind the counters. But I did the subway tile here and then all the way around. And cleaned all that up. So I think it looks quite a bit better just with the subway tile. And the flooring, we just finished the project. I'm guessing that this will be coming out after all the flooring is done. But that's the flooring as it is. In fact, I think in one of the videos I stood right here and showed you what the old flooring looked like and what the new flooring looks like. Of course, the beautiful banister, high chair, and yes, when I was cleaning off the counters to get started, so I can get stuff taped off and whatnot in the next day or so, I did put everything on the table, but that'll get cleaned up. But I wanted to get a before shot. So I kind of figured there's no better way to do a backdrop than using the cabinets that I'm going to be painting here and patching and everything else. So here is the plan. I will be using some kind of adhesive to fill all the cracks. You can probably see all the little knots and everything in the wood here that all need to get patched and filled and everything because we're going white. So the plan is to start with filling holes and sanding and just getting all the smooth surfaces done. I am going to be setting up some kind of a spray booth in the garage, and so I can use my airless sprayer to spray all the doors and drawer faces. Now what I'm aiming for is to be able to pull the drawer faces off and leave the contents of the drawer and the drawer itself, or the drawer box or whatever you want to call it, on the rollers in the cabinets. I'm also hoping to get all of the doors off and everything else and tape off all of the cabinets in order to put a couple coats of primer and everything on all of the faces. So in other words, what that means is if the doors come off, right, you still have this middle part and the crown molding and possibly the bottom, or the bottom trim here, not possibly, but the bottom trim here, maybe even the undersides. And then as you come to the outside here, like this, I'll have to paint the sides of the cabinets as well. So those will take a little bit of, I'm going to wash them, sand them, very lightly sand them so that I can kind of rough the surface so that the primer goes on really well. And then should be able to get 2 coats of primer is what I'm aiming for on the interior box frames and everything else. I'm going to be a lot more focused on getting all of that done, because when I, for instance, open up this, pull the door off, I'm going to be taping this whole thing off. Let me try and get a better angle of this. I'll be taping this whole thing off and plastic sheeting it all the way to the bottom here. So this front trim piece will get painted, but the insides of the cabinets will not get painted. So I've got to pull off all of the doors, I've got to tape everything off and sheet everything inside the cabinets. So I think that's going to be largely the main goal. I'm going to start with getting all the boxes and everything sanded and primered, so that as quick as possible, or as quick as makes sense, I can get the cabinets opened back up so we can get back to things like dishes and mixing bowls, things like that. So this is slotted to be a 2.5 to 3 day project, is what I'm kind of aiming for and hoping for. I don't know how many videos this will turn into or anything like that, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I have 22, sorry, I have 22 doors to pull off all the hinges and everything else. And then I have 6, 7, 8 drawers. I have 8 drawers to hopefully pull off the faces of. And then there's one tricky part here at the sink. These faces don't come off. I'm pretty sure those are stapled in, so I'm not going to try and pull them off, but it's going to make it a little bit trickier sanding this and prepping this, and sanding this surface right here between the dishwasher and the cabinets. Obviously these doors will come off, but it's just going to make this little gap here a little bit trickier, in the middle here a little bit trickier, and so forth. And then this one, I haven't decided if I'm going to have to pull off the piano hinge, or if I'm just going to try and tape it off, or what I'm going to do there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This thing double folds, so there's actually a spring, sorry, or not a spring, a hinge right there, right? That's what I mean by piano hinge. I mean, technically what I could do, there you go. What I could do is I could pilot hole the opposite holes. So as you can see, they've kind of drilled every other hole for the most part. What I could do is pilot hole the opposite holes, just because I'm concerned about the possibility of me pulling those screws out and cross-threading them or something when I'm trying to put them back in, or when I'm pulling them out, or whatever the case might be. But also just getting that door to the Lazy Susan just right when I'm putting it back in. Anyway, those are kind of the things that I'm looking for, or that I'm planning on getting the 2 coats of primer on, getting the I'm aiming for 2 coats of paint. If the first coat goes on really well, then I will just do that 1 coat. I am using a 310 tip on my airless sprayer, or at least that's the plan. That's what's coming from Amazon. And then when I get into the cabinets, you'll see me do things like I'll be taking off the hinges and putting a number in the hole here. Sorry, right angle. I'll be putting the number in the hole after this hinge comes out. Put a number in that hole, pointing an arrow up, taping that hole so that the number that I'm writing in there doesn't get painted over. And then I can remember where all of my doors and drawer faces and everything go back. So, I apologize if I seem long-winded. There's a lot of parts, moving parts. I did almost all of my shopping on Amazon, and then I got a few things at Harbor Freight. I'll have to get some things at Home Depot, like the paint and the primer and stuff, and then I think I had to get something somewhere else, but that pretty well covers it. I've got a lot of money put into different parts and stuff because, for instance, the little weenie rollers, the little tiny rollers from Amazon is like a 20 pack for the price of 2 or 3 that you'd get at Ace or Home Depot. And so I bought a 20 pack on Amazon, but it's $14 instead of the $10 that I would have spent or something, right? So I overspent a little bit on some of those things, but I'm going to have enough tools and parts and brushes and rollers and sand sponges or sand blocks, eye hooks, all of this stuff. I'm going to have enough to do 3 or 4 kitchens. So I guess if my wife doesn't like the cabinets in 6 months, I'm going to do it again. Yeah. I think that's it. Hopefully I forget to pare down some of my rambling, and hopefully I'll make some content that's worth actually putting up on YouTube.
Whoa, 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 yeah, we are in the place to be, yeah, 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 yeah.